Hey guys, thanks for stopping by my channel today. I know we've been talking a lot about products lately, and I still want to vlog and do a couple of other real fun things, but it's time for favorites, and even though I'm kind of late, I kind of just feel like better late than never. But my point was that even though we've been talking a lot about products like with Sephora hauls, and I kind of did a long-term haul sort of thing where I was telling you about some of the things that I've been liking lately, I really wanted to be very specific with this favorites. A couple things I'm going to mention again just because they're definitely worth mentioning again. But I've got some other just kind of random things that never really made it to any of my other really long product lists. So let me get you started on what I've been loving during the month of April. Let me just say very quickly, you're probably already tired of hearing it. I love the Becca Hydra Mist Set and Refresh Powder. I just feel like it sets my makeup beautifully. It controls my oil without drying me out. It kind of blends in my foundation beautifully. It does have a slight tint, so if you do use it to set your under eyes, that's what's frustrating. It sets your under eyes really nicely, but it does change the tint of the under eye, concealer that you're wearing. So, either go in with a lighter concealer or use a brightening powder just kind of on top of that. I will actually often use, if my concealer is the shade that I like it, I will set it with the Becca Hydra Mist, but then I'll go in with the Hourglass. Wait a minute, I've got it. This is actually the mini trial size, but this is diffused light. This is one of the ambient lighting powders, and it adds just a nice shimmer and reflective kind of liveliness to underneath your eyes without being obnoxious. So a couple of like disclaimers attached to that powder, even though I still think it's fabulous. Okay, so I've got a couple of like face product-y things. I've really been liking by Soap & Glory the One Heck of a Blot primer. I feel like a primer goes bad if it's attempting to kind of control oil and your face feels like tight and irritated. Like, I don't like that. Even though I love the Becca, I can't remember what it's called, but it comes in the brown tube, and it's the mattifying primer that they make. That one makes my skin feel so uncomfortable. But this one I find just very nicely like controls oil. I don't have like excessive oil, but I will tend to go shiny throughout the day. It's also kind of a smoothing primer as well, but not as slippery as some of the other smoothing primers are. This is actually almost the end of my second tube, and I've already got a backup on hand. It's kind of just like my go-to primer. So what I've been combining that with is by Tarte. This is the Clean Slate Timeless Smoothing Primer. I really just use that like next to my nose and in between my eyes, a little bit on my forehead where I've got some lines already. It's interesting because it's in a tub, and I kind of like that. It's I can't even think how to describe it. It's almost like food. It kind of even looks like food because it's very whipped but thick enough, but not too thick. It doesn't ball up when you apply it kind of over primer, but it really does smoothen your pores. I mean, there have been some smoothing primers. I enjoyed the Benefit Professional for a very long time, but it was thin, and I have very excessive pores, and so I need something like major duty. And the fact that this can kind of sit in its tub, implying that it's not necessarily going to squeeze so easily out of a tube, it's got a little bit more heavy dutiness to it. But I find that it sits underneath my foundation really, really beautifully. So I don't know if they're all just getting along really well, but you know what, don't mess with it if it's working out pretty good. So I've been loving both of those as my primers. One not quite as expensive as the other, and so that's kind of a nice balance too. So moving on to kind of foundation a little bit, something I never mentioned because I didn't necessarily feel like it was like an, oh my God, you have to have this, but it turns out I've been using it quite a bit. By Bare Minerals, the Bare Pro Performance Wear Liquid Foundation. This thing is weird. This is crazy. Everybody says, has been talking so nicely about it. And first of all, what's weird is this. You put it on your finger and it starts to, or on your hand, and it starts to run. Foundation doesn't typically do that. It doesn't generally run. I've got to make sure I get tissue. Hold on. Otherwise, I'm going to be like wearing foundation. I got to go to work later. But it's so weird in that it is so like liquidy. So you would think then when you put it on that it's not going to do a very good job. I use this on days when I don't want like just a ton of coverage. I do use like, I love the It Cosmetics CC cream. I hate the tinting with that. The medium is too dark for me. The light is too pink for me. I need like a marriage between the two of those. But I have not awesome. I wish I had awesome skin. I have awful skin. In fact, today is a classic day, or a classic reason of why I started wearing makeup when I was a young teenager to begin with. I am completely broke out right now. It's awful. But I use this on days where I don't want to use like a full foundation because it gives me the coverage, but because of the consistency of it, it's just so comfortable. And it doesn't, you know, does it keep me like 100% mattified? No, but I think that winds up looking natural come the end of day anyway. And so this was a surprise. I got this at Ulta. I asked them, I didn't realize this. I asked them for a sample because I'm so used to doing that at Sephora, and you can't do samples at Ulta? I have to say I didn't often frequently shop Ulta just because I either defaulted to like CVS or Sephora, and that was where I kind of found drugstore versus high-end, or like Nordstrom I shop at quite a bit. So I've been doing Ulta quite a bit more now. I'm platinum now. I'm so excited. But they don't do samples. And I said to the girl, I was like, well, I'm not really sure I'm gonna like this. And she says, no, I know. We don't do samples. So I said, okay, I'm gonna buy it, fully intending to most likely return it because I did not expect to like it as much as I did. They have a really good shade range. Again, I did not investigate about how light to how dark they go. I know that's always difficult if you have really pale skin or beautiful dark skin. I know it's hard to get a foundation match for that. But within the kind of mid-range, I have a lot of selection, which is why I was able to find a shade that matched me. I have been applying all of my foundation with this bad boy right here. This is by Tarte, and it has a funny long name that I had to look up. It is and I'm reading it now. It is the Airbrush Finish Bamboo Foundation Brush. That sounded like a mouthful. This is a happy little round, it just, oh my God, it feels like a pillow. Look how much of my face it takes up, and I have a big face. And so I find that it's dense but really soft, so it has quite a bit of play in it. But I just find that it just really easily spreads my foundation. On those days when I don't want to be using a flathead kabuki, which was what I had been defaulting to, this is when I kind of just want to blend it all in. It works really good with well, it works good with all foundations actually, but I personally use it with a very thin consistency, the Bare Minerals Bare Pro. I also use it with the Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion. I also use it with the Marc Jacobs Remarkable foundation, which is very pigmented, and although it's not thick, you need to blend that bad boy out. And so this guy does it so nicely. I was mad. I was like, I buy Morphe brushes, Real Technique brushes, and they are so much more affordable. This was like $34. But I really, really like it. And my husband works with tools, and he always says, you'll do your best work if you have the best tools, and that one makes me exceptionally happy. So I've got some other actually brushes that I want to talk about. Now this one also was a surprise for me because I spent a little bit more money on it. This is from MAC. This is their smaller stippling brush. It is the oh crap, I think it says 188S, meaning it's a little bit shorter. So this is the small kind of stippling brush. I have every other kind of stippling brush under the sun. I have the one from e.l.f. I have the one from EcoTools. I have the one from Morphe. I have the one from, I think, does Real Techniques make one? I believe I have that one as well. I have the one from Wet n Wild, the pink and white line. I have a lot of stippling brushes, and none of them do what this one does. So it's a little bit longer. It's pretty soft. I use this specifically in select areas along my face. This is for concentration foundation application. I should patent that. That was like a pretty nifty string of words there. So I use this along the top of my forehead to kind of hit the last bit of foundation. And the reason for that is I don't want to paint my hair with foundation. And so no matter what brush you're using, what beauty blender you're whatever, or sponge you're using, you need to go up very lightly into your hairline. And so I find that this allows it to blend in just kind of really nicely. I've got the little peak at the top too, and so it becomes like an amazing intersection of skin, hair, and foundation up at the peak. I also use it on the side of my nose to kind of get in there. I find that that's a difficult place to get to. And since I have I have large pores, I really need to make sure that my foundation gets in there. I also use it along kind of my ear, where I want to just apply a very little light layer of foundation. And I find that this guy works really good. Apparently, I could have just went in and bought this first. But no, instead I had to buy every other inexpensive brush under the sun, only to find out that this one, I probably spent more money on all of those than I did on this guy alone. This guy might have been $34. That was expensive also. Couple other brushes. Sonja Kashuk, I guess, has changed. She sells at Target and doesn't sell cosmetics anymore, but has come out with a variety of different brush lines right now. I bought a couple of them. I didn't love all of them. I think one was a powder brush, one might have been a contour brush. I wasn't impressed. But I am impressed by these two little guys, these two gems. One of them is a concealer brush. They call it the buffing concealer. It is angled. And so it works if you're really trying to do like pinpointed concealing under your eye, this gets in there so beautifully and doesn't conceal and basically highlight the side of your nose, which is the last thing that I need my large nose to get, is some highlighted areas. So it allows me to really focus just underneath the eye. It's very soft, so it doesn't poke me, which is the other thing I look for. I hate a pokey brush. And so this works, like I said, just really nicely. It dispenses the concealer beautifully, and it's for concentrated kind of application. You know, if you're not doing like the triangle, like down to the bottom of your nose, this might take you a little while if you were to try to do that. But if you're really just trying to, this might be, you know, cover underneath your eye. This might be good. I was getting ahead of myself. This might be good for if you're doing some color correcting first, like with a peachy concealer, and you want to just stick specifically to the bluer or purpler or redder areas under your eye. Love this brush, love it. The other brush I got actually looks exactly the same. It's angled, but it's actually an angled crease brush. And for your eyes. The top of your eyes, actually. And so I am always putting a darker shade in the outer third of my eye. I use this every which way. You can actually get up into the crease with it because as the bristles angle, they're much softer and less dense towards the top. So you can actually get into your crease really nicely. I will turn it on its side, you know, sideways, so that the angle is now going with my eye, and I will use that to apply darker shadow. And I will do it even the other way in order to more softly get shadow to the outer corner of my eye. This brush, there is no, well, I don't want to say there is no other because I don't know everything, even though I think I know everything. But I have never seen another brush for the eyes shaped quite like this. And I was really enjoying that. I'm glad Sonja got very creative there. Just a couple other things. L'Oreal came out with a brand new line of face masks, and they're all different colors. They come in this beautiful jar. This one is pink in color. I guess it's meant to be like a red clay mask. They call it the Pure Clay mask. So clay masks are obviously good to kind of clean out your pores and kind of help with blackheads and that sort of thing, which I definitely need help with. But this is an exfoliating clay. I was like, that's a double duty. So you put it all over your face and you let it dry, typically the way you would any clay mask, and then you go to rub it off. Except when you go to kind of wipe it off or kind of rub it off, you first will kind of wet your fingertips and then massage, because it's got little grit in it. And so you can then, not only once your pores are opened and cleaned out, you can just kind of exfoliate mildly. And I thought that is a two-step process in one. There's also a gray one, which is just strictly a clay mask. I have that one as well. Everyone keeps talking about, they didn't have it at the time I went and bought these. I think that's like a citrus one. It's like yellowy orange in color. And that seems like that would be just kind of similar to like a peel where you just kind of get that top layer of nasty skin off. And so I definitely want to check that one out. And there's actually a couple other varieties as well. I think when I bought that there were 5, and then I think that citrus one might even be a new addition, and there may even be others. So definitely look for that. They were, I believe they were about $15. So it's not cheap, but they are beautiful face products. Not as expensive as Glam Glow is all I'll say about that. The last thing I want to talk about, I think I mentioned this in one of my recent videos. This is by the company Big Sexy Hair. This is the particular version called Style Sexy Hair. This is called Play Dirty, and it is a dry wax spray. It says it has a shine of 4 and a hold of 4. This is the better cousin or better twin to hairspray. So this actually, you literally just kind of shake it up like you would hairspray. And you kind of just, I spray it on the ends of my hair. I spray it underneath my hair and then kind of give it a little zhuzh. This will give you, wow, look at that. Let's see if we can do something to the other side. This will give you hold and texture without the stickiness and the dryness that hairspray has. Because hairspray, I don't care if you want to call yourself a moisturizing hairspray. I mean, generally you're based in alcohol. Maybe that's not true for every single hairspray, but in which case I don't know about it because it's probably ridiculously expensive and I'm not spending like, you know, 50 bucks on a hairspray. But this dry wax spray has like revolutionized, you know, my life. You know that I was talking about how my hair is unhealthy right now because a lot of it broke off from the bleach that I was getting done. And so I was having to actually extra style my hair because it just was looking like crap. And so I needed to give it more product, more attention in order to kind of make it look better or kind of fake that it looked better. But this is a way to give it hold and texture without drying my ends out in particular, but without drying my hair out in general. It's like my new, like I said, it's a texture spray, but I like kind of use it like, I mean, I use it as texture, but it's kind of like my new hairspray. I probably wouldn't spray it on your roots per se, unless you were doing like, you know, underneath where you wouldn't, like I wouldn't do it on like the top of your head that you could see because it is a wax. And so that might tend to create the illusion of oiliness or greasiness. But I would definitely use it kind of underneath as a means of kind of adding some texture dimension that way. Look at that fullness I just got there. Okay, so those are my favorites for the month. Please tell me what you've been enjoying this month. You know, I always love that, and I love the conversations that we get to have. I guess if you want to hit that bell to let you know when I post a video, since I don't do so consistently, that'll let you know when I actually do put something up. I am on Instagram quite a bit more than I am on Twitter, but I am in both of those locations, both under my name, my same YouTube name, Gina Creone. And so if you have a minute, check me out over there. But all in all, thank you so much for watching and spending your time with me. I hope you have a good rest of the day. And in the meantime, thanks.